As some of you might already know by following me on Twitter or Instagram, I had in recent months a deep interest in analog writing machines, specifically typewriters. Some of you might find that amusing or quirky or I don't know, and or basically just myself trying to have some sort of fun with this whole writing process. And yeah, it's fun. Using a typewriter makes it different, makes it mechanical and tactile and all that fun stuff. But there's a reason why, a deeper reason why I do this. And this has to do with distraction-free writing. And some of you might know that this is something I've been pursuing for quite a bit of time. I started using applications on my Chromebook that would let me edit without um, any type of distraction. Those applications that let you edit with no full screen, nothing else, kind of like clear canvas for you to write on. But the thing is that you know that you have the whole internet behind that, and so you tend to kind of like, okay, let me take a break. Let me go to Twitter. Let me go to here. Let me go to there, and you get distracted. So I did some research, and one day I found a video by Joe Van Cleve, and he's talking about distraction-free writing. And sure enough, he talks about this interesting machine called the Alpha Smart Neo. I bought one and I used it. I've used it plenty, um, and it definitely helped in the distraction-free frontier of things. You only have a small LCD screen, and you are limited to the amount of not limited the amount of editing, and this is one of the important things why I haven't been using it recently. But you can edit, but it's limited. It's again in a tiny LCD screen, the black and white LCD screen. So it's not comfortable for editing and all that. So I was using that, and it was working pretty well. But eventually, I still felt that I was still going back, and this is a very personal thing. I was still going back to edit myself over and over and over. I would go back in the Alpha Smart and just go up and down and edit and change and replace text and correct and then check the spelling and make sure everything was correctly spelled. And I realized that all that process was breaking my creative flow. I would be start like gaining speed in my writing, and I'm not necessarily speed, more like that impulse, that inertia that you get when you start writing, and then I would stop and start correcting myself, which is exactly what I did on my laptop. So after a while, I start kind of watching videos again on the web one day, and I watched Joe Van Cleve's channel. Well, he has in his channel a series called the Typewriter Series, and then it clicked. Then I realized that what I needed for true, pure, distraction-free writing was a typewriter. That's the ideal device. And I started doing some research, starting, seeing what models were good, what models were bad, and so forth. Because I'm not a collector, I'm an actual functioning writer that's going to be using this device for writing. So I did my research, and fortunately, typewriters are a thing that for the most part you can get kind of cheap. So I was able to score a few sales on eBay and on Facebook Marketplace and so forth. And I have a collection right now of about 8 typewriters. And yeah, there is definitely an aspect of collecting that is fun. Every device has their own personality. There are quirks and features and things that make it special. But again, the important part here is how it helped me in my writing. When you're using a typewriter, or you have this device that only lets you do one thing, which is write on it. It doesn't do anything else. You put paper here, you roll it in, and you start writing, and that's all you do in it. All you do on it is write. You truly take away all sorts of distractions from your writing process. When you have something like this, it's only you, the keyboard, and the paper, and nothing else. Nothing between you and your words and your creativity. And there lies the trick for me, because one of the cool things about this then is that, of course, this doesn't have any spell check. This doesn't have any sort of advanced features for correcting my text. It doesn't tell me if my phrase is using the passive language or it's too wordy. None of that. None of that. This thing just obeys what you say. Say, I want to write, and the machine is like, I am ready for you. Let's go. Let's do it. And that opened up the floodgates of creativity for me. I didn't worry about editing. I don't worry about reviewing. I don't worry about my spelling. I don't worry about typos. I just write. If I have a typo that's kind of annoying, I might type some slashes over it and continue on. Sometimes I just leave them there. Thanks to this, I have written more than 100 pages of content for my different RPGs. It is just a way to just write forward, always forward. You never go back. You never go back to revise your stuff. You never go back to, oh wait, this doesn't sound right. If it doesn't sound right and you wrote a whole paragraph, then make a note and keep going. You can make a note with, even with just with a pencil, write on the paper, discard this stuff or whatever you want to put in, and you just keep writing. Just keep moving forward with your creativity. To use a typewriter to write creative stuff. People might think, again, that it's done because it's quirky and fun and interesting, or nostalgia, because I am no spring chicken. But it's none of that. I mean, there's some fun of it. There's some nostalgia involved because when I was a kid, I used typewriters to do schoolwork and things like that. But it's so much deeper. If you can get something like this, and this typewriter right here, this is an Antares Parva made in Italy. I think it's from 1960. This cost me $40. $40 for a machine that does what it was designed to do more than 50 years ago. Still works, still does what it's supposed to do. You can still get ribbons for typewriters. Of course, you can use any type of paper, and you're good to go. You put the paper in, you start writing. Simple as that. You can find a lot of videos on YouTube explaining how a typewriter works, how the different features, tabs, and margin releases, and all that fun stuff. Carriage return levers, all that. You can find all that on. So there's no lack of information. So highly recommend using something like this. If you don't have access to a typewriter, you cannot get one, or something like an AlphaSmart, I would recommend going way back and just get a decent journal. Just buy a decent journal. I personally prefer dotted pages because you have, it's like the advantage of a grid without the intrusiveness of having lines all over the place. And you can get them real cheap. Like this is like a $6 journal. I think I got it at Michael's, and you just write with your favorite implement. Lately, I've been doing research on wood case pencils. I have a Mitsubishi pencil and a Palomino Golden Bear, and I have a few more. And the difference that a good writing instrument makes on this is truly amazing. And I've been actually using both systems, the journal and the typewriter. Although the journal is mostly something I will do like on the road, although I haven't been on the road lately for obvious reasons. But if you get something like this, like Ride in the Rain or Notebook, or something like a Field Notes, there's a good Field Notes clone called a Field Book, and I don't have it here with me right now, but it's really nice, a little bit bigger than this, and you just put this in your pocket. You carry it around, put it in your pocket, and any ideas, anything that comes to mind, you can just jot it down. You have ideas for your RPG game, for your adventure, just write them down. The cool thing about the Write in the Rain notebooks is that they are literally, you can write in the rain with them. Like this you can actually dip this into a water container and nothing will happen to it. These are pretty incredible. Not cheap. 3 of these are like almost like $10. So I mean, it's a tiny little thing, but the capability of basically, you can spill liquids or whatever, and they just keep going. You can keep writing on them. It's fantastic. So these are really nice. So you have this analog systems that basically let you do creative stuff without distraction. Don't get me wrong. I love the digital world. I am a tech head. I love my technology, but sometimes technology is a facilitator, but sometimes it also gets in the way, and it can be annoying, it can be frustrating. Maybe it depends on who's doing the creative work, but in my case, I find that technology gets in the way sometimes of my creativity, gets in the way of my work. And using these analog devices, a humble typewriter or simple journal and pencil, I get much more done than if I sat down with a laptop to do my writing. Of course, once I write my stuff on the typewriter, or write on the journal, what I do usually is that I might take what's in the journal and put it in a document on the typewriter, or might take it directly to the computer because it's part of a larger document that I'm editing. And of course, in that, the computer has the advantage, layout and all that. Um, Sometimes I take the documents I have written in the typewriter and OCR them. I scan them through OCR and import that into a document and then tweak it. Sometimes I just retype the documents because sometimes just reviewing that, having that physical piece of paper and working with it, and it makes you review your thoughts in a good way. So when you write them in the computer in your final document, they're much more refined, and you have a better idea of what you originally intended, or you just get new ideas from it. So that's the reason why I've been using this. Typewriters are fun. They're cheap. They can be cheap. They are interesting. They're a little bit noisy, but sometimes you just get wrapped up in the rhythm of the keys, and that helps you concentrate, and you just flow with it. So if you can get a typewriter, get it. The typewriters making a resurgence. Typewriter, they call it the typewriter revolution, and it's something I found out after I started getting into typewriters. But yeah, they're beautiful devices. If you can get one as a writer, do so. I guarantee you're going to be more productive than with just the usual laptop and Google Docs or whatever you're using. Trust me on that one. It's been uh, it's been an eye opener. So that's it. So that's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed this travel into the analog world, brief journey into the analog world, and how it helps creativity. So if you like the content of this video, hit the like button. If you like the channel, feel free to subscribe. I really appreciate it. And until next time, keep those D20s rolling.